A sneak peek at what's coming up next.
No brand deals, no merchandising involved in the Kiki stuff.
What
no
happened to
merchandising at all?
Yeah.
What happened to people
Yeah,
being able to
I
just like
should.
have a discussion and talk to each other without fighting? I mean, if you have a problem with somebody, you go out and you slash their tires like a man. You don't report them to their job.
You don't go after the livelihood.
You don't go after the
Guys,
livelihood. You just go out to the car, you take a ballpoint pen, and there you go.
Let's start. As I
I
said,
know, I'm enjoying this.
as you should. Actually, people have commented and said they actually enjoy me and Steve's banter.
Nick's an old man.
I am. I may look gorgeous, but I'm really 75
He's
years
like old
old.
man
and
yells at
wondering
cloud.
why people are allowed to walk on
He's
the
like
streets
Abe
at night.
Simpson.
Yes.
Back
I'm
in my
Abe
day, in
Simpson, yeah.
1903, we didn't use microphones. We just talked through a tin can with a string.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
And to get the
Those
best
are really good
reception, it had to be a can of peas.
That's. He's on a can of fucking peas. Okay.
And you say, all right, you want to talk to me? Use your pecan. I got cream corn. That's all I got. That's him.
I love that laugh is like funnier than the joke. What's up with that laugh?
It's not even that funny.
I just keep going.
Opposed to any other fucking vegetable, he's fucking corn.
Don't get me started on string peas.
Okay, I'm back. I'm back.
Oh, God.
Okay. All right, stop with your vegetable jokes. We're gonna have to cut all of that out.
No.
No, reels. Ooh, that'll be reels bonus content.
I think she's
Kiki.
tuned out now.
Kiki,
Hmm?
I am so sorry for that.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
it's okay.
I lose my shit
It's okay.
sometimes. All right.
It wasn't even that funny.
It was to me, obviously. It was to me, all right.
I make fun of him for being an old man.
And it's hilarious to me. Okay, so we've been recording.
I don't
this-
hear an echo, but then again, I can't hear anything. So his ears barely work, and he's like, "That's like me taking visual advice from Nick, who's got fucking Coke bottles attached to his face."
That's true, actually. That's very true. Okay.
You wear glasses too, but this man literally has like the bottom of a glass Coke bottle. Those are his lenses.
Yeah.
He is so blind.
All right. So let's start. Now that we've been recording for a while. By the way, that'll be great. By the way. Okay. So welcome to On the Spectrum podcast. My name is Nick.
And I'm Steven.
As usual, with the highest level of enthusiasm always. Now, me and Steve are both on the spectrum. We're late diagnosed folk, and this is our podcast about our journey of understanding autism and also talking with other people and their opinions about autism. Now, me and Steve do not presume to be experts in anything whatsoever. And you also may hear things in the podcast that you like, you dislike, that you agree with, you disagree with. You might even get a little offended sometimes from some of the jokes we might make. That's okay. If you have any of those reactions, please go to any one of our social media sites, including Spotify, and write us a comment. Talk to us. Give us some feedback. Let me know if my microphone sounds like I have a new echo, because I do have a new mic, and this guy keeps telling me I have an echo. So if you hear an echo, please let me know.
Well, it's when
If
you talk above
don't-
more so when you talk above the mic.
Oh,
rather than
so
into
keep
it.
my face right here.
You don't have to keep it
square.
like that,
Right,
but just
right.
talk
Right like this.
talk into the top of it.
Talk into the top
Like
of it.
you're a hungry kid who has an ice cream cone. Okay, it's a snow cone. It's
All right.
delicious. You want to have a taste of the snow cone.
All right. So now with that being said, let me introduce the person that we're interviewing today, who has been sitting by very patiently petting a dog because me and Steve have bantered for about 20 minutes now. Her name is Kiki Chambers. You probably recognize her if you're on the Autism Talk on TikTok. She has quite a lot of followers. She has a whole lot of videos. You're like, no, but like comparatively, yes. She has a lot of opinions, and I don't want you to hold this against her, but she is Canadian.
Kiki,
What?
do you love me?
What
Sorry.
are you singing?
It's Drake. He's Canadian too.
Drake.
Oh.
Drake is
Yeah,
Canadian.
and when that came out, that was all anybody ever said to me. So
Drake is
Okay.
Canadian.
Oh, he is?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
too
he's
bad.
from Toronto.
He has a song that says, Kiki, do you love me?
Yeah. All right.
Are you
Um,
ready?
All right.
She knows it.
Oh, well, yeah, she heard it a lot as a kid because people.
She's one of the
made fun of her.
youths.
The
I
youths?
don't
Yeah.
think it,
The
I don't think
youths?
it came out when I was a kid.
No.
Because
Drake,
no one started saying that till like 10 years ago.
yeah, I was like, Drake hasn't even
12
been
years
famous
ago.
that long.
Nick was watching Drake when he was in a wheelchair on that show. Was it Degrassi? Is that the name of it?
I have no idea.
Yeah, he was in Degrassi. I didn't watch it though.
Oh, he
But
was.
yeah, he played
He was an
somebody
actor
in a
first.
wheelchair.
Well, yeah, that part I knew.
Yeah.
I knew he was an actor first. He was a child actor. Wait, I thought everybody in Canada was forced to watch every season of Degrassi High. I thought
No.
like you had to.
No, they all watched the
I
Trailer
watched
Park
Saved
Boys
by
though.
the Bell.
Oh.
Yeah, we do.
Oh God, you
Yeah.
actually watched that show?
Not anymore, but when you're younger, like yeah, that
Oh.
was MTV's like heightened.
I've never met a
Trailer Park
Canadian who
Boys.
didn't watch Trailer Park Boys.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is it about
Yeah.
boys in trailer parks?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't
Well,
know.
at least the name is.
Never
correct.
heard of it? Have you
No,
never
I've
seen it?
heard of it. I've just never seen it. I always thought it
It's
looked
kind of
really
funny.
dumb.
It's like it is kind of dumb, but
Oh,
it's,
all right. But
Yeah.
so I did see one of the guys in an interview, and he pointed out like he was talking about how they came up with the characters and stuff like that, and it's just like gross exaggerations of people they've seen in trailer parks and stuff like that. But like somebody said, well, so it's not really who you are, and he goes, no, they're parts we wrote. And the interviewer seemed shocked that that's not who the guy really was. Like, no shit, it's a show. It's fucking written. But anyway.
Yeah. But that's the same with like Rosa off of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. You ever seen that?
I love that show.
Her voice is really low in that in there
Yeah.
because he was working as a dance instructor or something, and she was always screaming.
Right.
So her voice was really raspy during the interview, like during the audition. So they hired her on that voice. So she had to like teach her voice to be raspy like that. And she
Right.
says people are now so disappointed when they meet her in person because she has a very high pitched voice compared to, and they're like, "You don't sound like your character at all." And she's like, "Yeah, because there's a character."
Yeah, absolutely.
So why are you mad at me?
Well, people
So-
lose track of the fact that it's somebody playing a role.
By the way, can you get me Celine
Yeah.
Dion's autograph?
Ooh, yeah. When you guys go to your luncheon on Sundays, can you invite us at some point? Oh, wait, not
I
every
just
Canadian
assumed-
knows other Canadians. Okay,
I thought all Canadians know each other.
I thought they all did.
No.
No.
What about
No,
Justin
like,
Trudeau's autograph?
Canadian-
Can I get that one?
Oh,
I'm not going near him.
there's a sore subject. Oh my goodness.
He's so performative. I can't handle him.
He's such a
Like-
pretty man.
Yeah.
Really?
He's considered
so
handsome.
Fake.
Oh,
And he's so fake. He just plays this role, and every time I see him, I'm like, you are lying to yourself.
That's
and everybody
that's most
around you."
politicians,
yeah.
though, isn't it?
I was just about
Fair
to say
enough.
that. That's like every politician. It doesn't matter what country you're from. You could be from like Brazil. If you're a politician, you were still fake.
I
as
do
shit.
enjoy all the pictures of him in blackface. Those are funny.
Oh my
I
god.
don't even understand how they like reelected him when that came out. Everyone's like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Let's
yeah, yeah.
It's like, how are we that backwards that we would ever allow
Because
that?
people
Hold
like
on,
him in
hold
Canada.
on.
So
I don't want to give this man more credit than he maybe deserves, but wasn't that like in college that he did the blackface thing?
he did it multiple times, though. But yes,
Yeah.
But it was like in
he,
college
he said he didn't understand it was offensive at the time.
when he was like in his
Yeah.
20s, right?
But
'Cause
he
we all
goes
do
and
dumb shit.
he appropriates culture a lot,
Oh.
especially indigenous cultures. He
Oh.
still appropriates them and has written letters and said, like,
That's
for
what he gets
example,
for being
while he
Fidel
was-
Castro's son.
What?
Yeah.
There's a
What?
It's a joke. There's a conspiracy theory that Justin Trudeau is Fidel Castro's son.
Oh.
So okay,
Really?
you don't know this conspiracy theory?
No, I have no idea what
So
you guys are
I
talking
didn't know.
about.
Justin Trudeau's
I'm Canadian.
Justin Trudeau's dad was also a politician.
Yeah.
Or he was famous, right?
Yeah,
And Justin-
he was a politician.
And there's apparently Fidel Castro used to hang out with his dad a lot, and
Right.
his mother. And if you look at pictures of Fidel Castro and Justin Trudeau,
Yeah.
they have very similar facial features and they look very similar. So the conspiracy theory is that his mom had an affair with Fidel Castro and that he's actually Fidel's son and not his father's son.
What?
That's what Americans know about Canada.
Yeah. Apparently, that's how well we know Canada.
By the way, it's
So
You saw that picture.
I always thought
Gotta find
that Justin Trudeau looked like Steve Perry from fucking Journey. What the lead singer of Journey? I think his name is Steve Perry. Yeah, I always thought Justin Trudeau looked just like him, or at least similar.
am I gonna get
What do I
canceled
know?
for calling him Fidel Castro?
Probably, but you know,
so
getting
that's
canceled getting
I don't
canceled
even
in-
know
That's
who
Fidel
that is.
Castro, and that's Justin Trudeau's mom,
Oh,
and that's Justin Trudeau, the baby.
is that a real picture?
Yes.
Oh,
No, his
Alright.
his parents did hang out with Fidel Castro. It wasn't a lie. But there's people say that they look alike.
all right. Yeah, I can see it. I mean, I don't know if it's that close of a resemblance, but
If you see like a picture, like their nose and their face look pretty similar.
uh-huh. So anyway,
Is
back
this
on
what
to our
Americans do? Is
Look
they
at
just
it.
look it up?
Look at his
and-
face. It
There
looks
he
very
looks
similar to
like.
Justin Trudeau. I'm not saying that the conspiracy is real. I'm just saying, but he does kind of look like him.
Yeah. Kiki, normally when Steve gets in these moments, I blame it on things. Oh my God. I blame it on certain things because it's just easier to rationalize this to other
It's
people
the
by just
right-wing
saying it's
media.
the tism. But I can't say that with you right there because me and you both know that ain't tism. That's
It's-
just Steve being Steve.
That's right wing propaganda.
Yeah, that's it. Right-wing propaganda. Yeah, all right. So anyway, can we let's shift on to our guest here because we did invite somebody on to chat with us. And
I'm fine with
obviously-
shitting on Canada for an hour. It's
Yeah,
fine
you
with
are.
me.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are.
I heard you guys have ketchup flavored Lay's potato chips up there,
What's wrong?
We
I've
do.
had 'em.
and they have
them.
milk in a
Wait.
bag, which is
Yeah.
weird.
What the fuck is milk in
no,
a bag?
we don't. No, that's an Ontario thing. But yeah.
Okay,
the-
sorry.
there's
I've been
milk
to
in a bag.
Ontario. I went to I
Yeah.
went to Toronto for a few weeks, and they had milk in a bag, and I
Yeah.
thought it was the weirdest
Don't
They
thing.
do.
generalize all Canadians. Not all of them are nice.
That's
Okay. Some of them are downright normal.
I had poutine the other night. It wasn't very good though.
You
I
did
actually
not
did.
have
I had-
poutine.
I had
You didn't have
No, he
poutine.
didn't. No,
I
he
I
didn't.
did. I had shitty
No,
American
he-
poutine
yeah,
on
he-
Thursday
he had
night.
the American bullshit, which is French fries and gravy, and that's it. And it's not even.
No,
very
it
good.
had instead of cheese curds,
Where's
they
the
used
cheese?
they put mozzarella sticks on it.
What?
No, that's not poutine.
No.
I know, but it was there.
No.
It was an Irish pub version because they called it
No.
poutine.
Yeah, of course. Why not just call it what it is?
It's fries and gravy.
Yeah, it's fries and gravy
Fries
with
and
some
gravy
cheese sticks.
with cheese.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Here's a cheese stick on top of a heart attack. Enjoy.
I
Like,
know.
the fuck. Anyway, let's talk about our guest here.
No, actually, can we talk about why American bacon is superior to Canadian bacon?
Because one is bacon
What?
and the other one's ham.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right.
How do you guys try to pass off ham as bacon? What is up with that?
What the? We have regular bacon.
Apparently, Kiki, apparently you're to blame for everything Steve doesn't like about Canada. Apparently.
Actually, some guy used to call me
Bacon,
Canadian.
we put maple on it.
Yeah,
Some guy-
you do.
Maple syrup on your
Mm.
bacon.
Some
Yeah,
guy
you
used
do.
to work
Delicious.
with. Some guy I used to work with used to call me Canadian bacon, and I have no idea why. Was he calling me a ham?
I don't.
Or was he calling you fat?
No, because
we
I wasn't
have
fat at
real
the time.
Bacon.
Well, yeah, you have real bacon. Of course you have real bacon. Why wouldn't you have real bacon?
We have real
At least you
bacon.
acknowledge that it is real bacon, and that Canadian bacon is not real bacon.
Well, yeah, because Canadian bacon is also known as ham.
It's not. It's bacon. I can grab some out of my freezer.
Well,
What?
we've
Canadian bacon is actually bacon?
Yes, it's bacon.
No, it's just
We have,
deli meat.
we have.
I like how-
No, it's not.
I know. It's
we have not said
I
anything
know.
about autism at all.
No, we have
We're just
said
talking about
nothing.
Canada.
Nothing. I think the only reference to the tism I have done is when I said that you looking up Fidel Castro out of fucking nowhere.
By the way,
That's
I'm pretty
something-
sure it actually is like some weird right wing conspiracy thing,
It
but
probably is.
Yeah.
I find
Oh, that-
weird conspiracies interesting because a lot of times they're ridiculous.
Oh my god.
They're ridiculous.
Yeah.
man.
He like even though he knows one is completely like ludicrous and false and just no fucking way.
I do
no
think it's funny
credibility
that some
whatsoever,
people think
he
that
will
is.
still believe in it.
I mean, it's plausible that his mom got pregnant from Fidel Castro. I mean, there's no
What
proof
plausible?
that they look similar and that his mom used to hang out with him a lot.
His dad hung out with him. Did they also have a gay relationship?
They might
with
have.
Oh, good God. That come on.
Sometimes a
proximity
cigar
to
is just a cigar, okay?
All right.
Unless it's a Cuban cigar.
Unless it's a Cuban, then
Then it's not a cigar.
Yeah,
It's something else.
Okay. All right.
You have an oral fixation.
But I think it's also nice too. Like I know you're wanting to get back to autism, but I think it's also nice just to exist and not always be about autism. So
It's
Canada's good with me.
Hey,
You know
how
what I mean?
dare
Like,
you?
sometimes-
Well, I mean,
I
I
don't
was going to ask
exist.
you mostly just about you and who you are as a human being. And then when the TISM comes up, I'll bring
I'm sorry
it up,
for
but-
doing the Kiki thing. I'm sure you've heard it a million times.
I have.
Yeah, so knock it off.
But I had to do it once.
All right.
I don't know anyone else
I
named
do this-
Kiki.
Well, obviously it's short for something. It's short for
Yes.
Kristen. So
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Like, nobody's born Kiki.
there must be,
No.
but no. I work with a lot of children, and no one actually says my name right. Actually, everyone always calls me Chris Tan or Chris Tin, and I'm like that
Christian?
isn't my name. It's Chris 10. Like it's the number 10. I don't know why people fuss that up so hard. But none of the kids can say it, so they all just started calling me Kiki, and I was like, "Yeah, sounds good." And I just went from that
There
going
you go.
forward. I was like,
There you
"Cool."
go.
So, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, that's a good way
Wasn't
to
born.
be. It's a good way to be.
yeah, it
Mm.
sounds good now.
Yeah,
All right, so well, getting into we don't have to focus just on autism and stuff
No,
like that,
well-
but I did have a question related to your TikTok channel.
Yeah, go for it.
So,
Okay.
what is one of the biggest pieces of misinformation, or one of the biggest things that you see circulated quite a bit that is false about autism or neurodivergent people or anything like related to that in general? So I've heard that you like to kind of debunk stuff quite a bit. So like, what's one of the biggest misconceptions or biggest pieces of misinformation that you see floated around all the time?
I don't really know. Like, I'll get into like phrases. Like right now, I'm really into the whole fact that like people keep saying early diagnosis is a privilege. So right now, I'm like, no. And every time I see that, I'm just like, no. And then I'll move on to something else later.
Wait, what do they mean by that? Because of the fact that, all right, I haven't seen that phrase quite a bit, but if I had to guess, if they're saying early diagnosis is a privilege, I'm assuming the context is because if you're earlier diagnosed, then it's more likely that you'll receive some type of treatment or maybe some accommodations for it, versus if you go undiagnosed, people are going to have more expectations, or people are going to put more expectations upon you and treat you more like a neurotypical person.
Well, and you also put more expectations on yourself because, like, go ahead, Kiki.
Sorry.
Yeah,
No,
the
you
question
can
was
go.
for her.
So like I was diagnosed in 91. So like people don't really look at the era of which someone was diagnosed ever when they talk about that. Because 91, we didn't even have internet publicly available to us. I think it came out in 93.
Yeah.
Like it came out in, I think 1989 was when the first dial-up was made, and then became commercially sold in like 93. It's like, so, and what we didn't even get it until I was like 10 or 11. So we didn't have that kind of access. So I think that happened. But the part that I want to touch on that I think Nick brought up was the fact that like, so Asperger's became a diagnosis in 1994. And when Asperger's came onto the scene, it was pretty much treated like as like they got the resources.
Right.
And autism didn't. It was like they have a chance to be something, and anyone diagnosed with autism didn't have a chance. And we were just prepping for adult group homes, and anything on us was a wasted resource. Like it wasn't like we had access to a lot of different resources. And even at that point, a lot of my care was a lot of trials, like a lot of research trials, just because they were free, because insurance didn't cover next to anything. So they were free, and you get put in them because it was your only hope as someone who had autism. They're not giving you the good stuff. They're giving you the
That
the
reminds
shit
me
stuff
of
because-
There
Temple
wasn't-
Grandin's story, because whether how you feel about her one way or the other, but we spoke to her once, and I know when she was growing up, that's what they wanted to do with her. They were just going to put her in a home or something.
Right.
They basically said that there was no use of trying to do anything with her, and she was nonverbal at the time, and her
Right.
mom was the one who
Yeah.
spent time with her to try to teach her how to speak and how to do other things, and she worked with her. Given her mom probably she didn't have the resources or the knowledge to maybe do it the way that we would do it today, but she was
today.
trying to do the best she could with what she had. She was just a mom who had a daughter who.
Well, I mean, even in the early 90s, there wasn't really early intervention. there wasn't an assortment of different professionals that were slapped together to try to help somebody with whatever issue they may have at the time, like autism and Asperger's syndrome. And there was like 4 other things, like Rett syndrome, I think it was, and there was one other, or there was 2 more.
Dysgenetic childhood and then pervasive development disorder or something.
Yeah, all of those merged together to be autism spectrum. But at the time, they were all considered separate disorders, relatively speaking.
Yeah, well, autism spectrum disorder happened in 1994, but those 4 were still separate. And they did kind of classify it as like all pervasive development disorders.
Right.
So they all kind of were tied together, but they weren't tied together in what you see after 2013.
Yeah.
So
yeah, because
Asperger's.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Asperger's, I think, was only official diagnosis for like 19 years.
Yeah, something like
Someone
that.
can double check that.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, it was originally, it came about because what's his face Nazi guy, and so it was able to be diagnosed like long before the 90s, but most people didn't get diagnosed. Most people didn't get diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome. And then it turned into high function, and then ultimately it's just level 1 now, or low support need, whichever one you choose. I was just talking to somebody yesterday, I think it was, and I said level 1, and they were like, "Oh, okay, so you don't need a lot of help." And I went, "Low support needs, yes."
Yeah,
and they were like,
but still support.
I mean,
and the big
go ahead.
The big difference with it changing from, because we had the spectrum from 1994 till 2013, then we had 2013 to onwards, and the big difference between the change of, because I was diagnosed when it was moderate, mild, and severe, versus now, is the fact that it allows for levels to change in someone's lifetime, because a child's obviously going to require more support. Or if a child's severely neglected, they may require more support as an adult, right? And so the levels are now able to kind of move, which is nice. And now there's 2 categories of levels versus 1 category, which is one is your ability to communicate. That would be your level 1, 2, 3, and then your behaviors or your repetitive or rigid behaviors is also 1, 2, 3. So you're actually given 2 levels when you get diagnosed. Usually, if they do it properly. And so
I think people fixate way too much on labels. Like, there's obviously utility in having levels or things like that to be able to quickly describe something or put quickly, because I mean the purpose of words, right, is to put an image or to plant an idea in someone's head. So, but at the same time, I think people worry too much about labels. Like, you can
100%.
assess or understand the person in front of you rather than trying to fixate on the labels.
And I agree. I also think that because once something has a positive or negative connotation to it, automatically we say, "Ooh, that word's not good," but the word didn't actually change. Kind of like the word disorder, right? There's actually nothing inherently wrong with the word disorder. It's just people decided that disorder meant bad. And
because sooner or later people use your identity as a dis. Sooner or later it's going to happen when you have a disability. Sooner or later someone's going to use it as a dis, and then people start using it in that manner, and now there's a negative connotation with it.
But that's just
I think
what they were trying to do to you was negative. The word itself never changed. That's my fixation on it. But like you were saying, it's a way to communicate. But I think when it comes to, let's say, a disability, when it comes to a difference in somebody, it's also important to be able to recognize that one person needs more help than another, and what that help actually is. I like the way you described it of the 2 different types of leveling, because you're actually the first person who's ever said that to me. a lot of folks in the States don't really talk about it that way. They just talk about it as your level 1, 2, or 3, and that's it, right? They don't differentiate between the two different sides like that, the social and the behavioral. But that allows us to understand, and that also allows us to treat the person more specifically to what they need. Because like a lot of content creators are relatively level 1s when it comes to, their support needs in general. Yeah, communication or a lot of their support needs, and yet they completely, or at least most of the time, seem like they dismiss people who are profoundly autistic. And like I don't dig that at all because of my own child who's on a different level than the three of us are. And like sometimes people completely, they expect her to behave in ways that it's much harder for her to do. But they have this high expectation, like somehow if they just tell her something over and over and over again, eventually it'll work like magically somehow. No, like let her be her for a while. But anyway.
Well, and I think it's just that high tie between communication needs and behavior needs being the exact same. So when you see somebody who is highly verbal, you immediately think that their support needs is low when that's never the case. There could be someone who uses an AAC devices and can bathe and do everything on their own, but they have a higher communication need than behavior need. But I do think that the community sometimes focuses more on medical acceptable terms instead of community acceptable terms when you see them talk. And this kind of goes back to what
Steve?
I can't remember her name.
No, that's all right.
How dare you?
You can just say dude with beard and dude without.
The pretty one.
Yeah, the pretty one versus the adult.
I'm kidding.
He's like, we're focusing too much on labels, and I think as a community, like the focusing on label needs to come aside, because if you're not medically treating that person, why are we using terminology, especially when there's so many newly discovered autistics in the community just trying to learn and get the footing, and we're meeting them way up here and they're still learning terminology.
Right. The content creators who say, if you use Asperger's syndrome, I'll block you immediately and I don't want to talk to you. Well, some people got diagnosed with that and didn't know that there was a difference in the name. Like I got a buddy who's 60 something years old. He got diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome in the 70s. Like he didn't know there was a change. He never looked into autism. He's a fiction writer. He doesn't care to talk to most people. Like he had no idea.
Well, and like with me, my diagnosis was nonverbal severe autism, which like I tell people that, and I'm like, I don't even want to talk about this. Like, I know you're going to say something to me that's going to hurt my feelings. But the point is, like, we didn't get new diagnoses. Like, I went into a doctor as an adult, and I was like, hey, what's up? And he's like, this is still your diagnosis. I'm like, how? Yeah. And he said, because as a child, I had a more accurate ability to assess me than as an adult, because now I'm self-aware, I'm in the field, I know the diagnosis criteria, I know like it would be pretty much impossible to assess me without my judgment or you know what I mean? Well, when I was a child and they were doing it, I had no masking abilities, I had none of that, so they were able to get a better snapshot of what autism was like for me. So like it was like 2013 I think, or 2012, and I went in and I was like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this? I'm like, well, it's yours. I'm like, okay,
well, you're still nonverbal, clearly.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tell people, I'm like, I could probably drop the nonverbal part, but I think it really just shows people like I don't know, it was a lot of hard work. Like I don't think everyone can become verbal, but like
some can. Some can if they just, and I don't want to make this sound simple or as if I'm demeaning somebody's, level of effort they need to put into it. But for some folks, they can improve quality of life in a bunch of ways by putting some effort into some things. Not everybody can. Please don't misunderstand me. Not everybody can, and everybody got their own struggle in that. But some of us can work and can improve certain parts of our lives. Not necessarily like if we're comparing ourselves to neurotypicals, because for one, we got to stop doing that. I even catch myself still doing it too, quite a bit. I mean, just the other day, I was talking to somebody and somebody was saying, people just got to show up to work. you have a job, you have an obligation, you just need to show up to work. And I caught myself going, wow, but everybody's got their own struggle. Oh my good God. I used to say the same shit when I was younger. And like, I had to stop myself because like, I used to say what that person was saying when I was a manager in my 20s. And now I'm in my early 40s going, you know what? But everybody's got their own shit to deal with. And none of us can truly know how much they struggle or how much it affects their day. Right? Like we shouldn't pass judgment.
Yeah. But the thing is, like,
Yeah.
to a point too, like
Mhm.
I should be able to still be proud of my
You
accomplishments
should.
because what you hear today was extremely hard for me
Yes.
to get to.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people were dismiss it and be rude about it. And I'm like, buddy, this, like, when I tell my story, I think it's a huge part to understand that, like, I'm not saying everyone can do it. I'm just saying the amount of work that had to be put behind what you hear today is like people wanted to give up on me. You know what I mean? Like my mom did have to take a majority of the role of teaching that stuff. Like,
right.
So.
Well, and you also had to put the work into learning it. I mean, the repetition alone to learn how to speak.
I didn't really care to speak. Like, it was frustrating because I was born verbal. Well, not born, but I was verbal.
Right.
And I had a skill regression that took my speech. So I did speak before I was diagnosed, and then I lost my speech, and that was the indicator. Like I was in the doctors all the time because they knew something was up, but they didn't know what.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they I had the skill regression, they're like, oh, that's one autistic buck right there. Yeah. So getting the speech back, and I forgot what I was saying. Anyways.
All right.
Oh, I don't even fucking remember.
No, it's all good. It's all good. We got our moments too.
A lot of work. Yeah, it was a lot of work. Anyway.
So because we were talking about the community and stuff, and like,
I remember.
What's up?
I remember.
Tell me about it.
So I didn't really like care to speak because it was just frustrating for me at that point. Like I just didn't care, and I was angry and upset, and people always trying to get in my face. And whenever I said anything, it was never good enough. Like they always had to repeat it to me and make me say it the right way instead of just acknowledging that I even tried. And now they acknowledge, but back then they didn't. They're like, you said it wrong, do it again. And I'm like, this sucks. So it wasn't until I actually learned sign language and typing that I actually wanted to learn to speak, because I was like, oh, I like communicating with people. This is cool. So that's what I tried. But yeah, I didn't try that hard till much later.
But you still put in the effort to learn it at some point. You found a utility in it.
At some point.
And now you're building yourself a social media following due to the fact that people actually enjoy and agree with the things you say.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Well, I mean,
stuff I was made fun of for my entire childhood. People were like, yeah, that seems cool. What?
Well, I mean, like, honestly, I mean, that's kind of how I found you on TikTok. I just typed in autism into TikTok when we first created our TikTok account, and you're one of the first videos that popped up, and you were commenting to somebody's comment that was up in the corner, and somebody was saying some bullshit about something or other, some misconception. And you were like, look, this is the kind of crap that fucking hurts our community. Here's what we need to not have. And it was just like, and it was just, to me, it was really kind of cool because it was the first couple of things that I was seeing. And then there was a couple other creators that content creators I was looking at too. But it was also kind of nice to hear somebody talk about and defend autism as not just this thing, this developmental delay, but more of like you know what, look, we're real human beings and we exist, but here's some things to understand. And so, and also I went crazy and watched every single video.
I'm so sorry for your loss.
I went crazy, stupid, obsessive about like watching people's autism TikToks.
Yeah. I'm surprised. Like whenever somebody like compliments me and they're like, "Oh, I really like your channel," I'm always like, "Oh, I'm so sorry you had to watch that." Like, that's my first reaction.
You know,
I'm so sorry.
Do you know who? I think her name is Samantha Edwards. Do you know who she is on the TikToks?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna stop talking now. I just got a weird look from you. So, Steve, what you got?
Is that like your rival?
No, she's not a rival. She put some misinformation out there, And in true Kiki fashion, I corrected the information, and he lost me.
Oh,
And
so
he just
so the reason
for our own peace of mind.
Yeah. So the reason why this came up is because I just came across a video of hers the other day, and she calls it something different, but PDA, right? Pathological demand avoidance.
Yeah.
She calls it
Poopy face time.
desire of autonomy, something like that. Persistent desire of autonomy, or something like that, is what she wrote on the screen.
Yeah.
But anyway, the descriptor of what that meant matches pathological demand avoidance. And I don't know which way you prefer to say that. I've always heard it as pathological demand avoidance. So
I
call it
prefer
PDA.
public displays of affection.
You do prefer public displays of affection. He loves it being on a park bench, man, and just going like spread eagle in front of everybody. He will pop a ping pong ball out of the wrong spot regularly. Moving on.
Yeah.
So the reason why is because like one of the things that she described as PDA was having a hard time accepting or receiving compliments. And that kind of struck me because I had my partner watch it, and my partner goes, yeah, every one of those is you. And I went, yeah, I know, but I'm just now understanding this. Because I had also, up until doing the podcast with Steve, never heard of PDA before. I think it's something newer. I'm hoping it's newer. I'm hoping I'm not that off base.
I think it's super new, and that's why I don't talk about it. Is I kind of want to see where it goes.
Understood.
So I feel like right now I'm kind of in like a learning phase
Right.
of PDA. So I'm not going to say, oh, I have it, or oh, I don't have it, or this or that. I just, when it comes up, I just listen to what people have to say and look at the studies and I think so. I have no opinion as of now on that.
Well, I was just saying how people describe it. You're right. Same thing with RSD as well. Rejection sensitivity dysphoria. Same thing. It's really super new. There's a lot of differences when people say different traits to it, but the couple of things that are pretty predominant that a lot of people get the same in a bunch of things is like having a hard time when we feel as if somebody's forcing us to do something. I mean, I can also say that like most people have a hard time when somebody's like, go do now. Like most people have a problem with that.
Started when he was a baby and his mom made him eat mushy peas. So here comes the airplane, Nick. Here comes the airplane.
All kids do that. Right?
Here comes the airplane. No, you want it.
All kids are like that.
You want the mushy peas.
Anyway, no, I agree with you. And anytime I hear something new, like psych-wise or whatever term somebody's using, I always kind of, all right, cool. I mean, maybe that could be a thing, but who knows?
Yeah. And I think like we've gotten to an era, and this is a little off topic, where people are just always having to find why they do stuff. And sometimes people just do shit. And I find like it's super good for my mental health not to constantly do something and then be like, oh my God, like, is it my autism or is it just me? Like, I just do it. And it's like, yeah, okay, I did it. Cool. It felt good and I had a good time and I enjoyed it. And I don't have to like, it's not that I no longer have autism. That's not the case at all. It's just sometimes existing and not being productive while existing is fantastic. Like I just don't know how to explain.
That's great and all, but are you good at math?
Oh wow.
The joke.
So I will say on a personal level, Kiki, I'm right there with you. Like I am not in a place in my life anymore where I'm constantly like, well, I'm doing this thing differently than the 10 other people in front of me. I wonder why. What's wrong with me? I don't do that anymore. I just go, okay, fuck it, I'm doing it differently. But I'm also at a point in my life where I can accept that. I also remember being 21 years old, doing some of the things that I can now identify as an autistic trait or a bipolar trait. But when I was 21 and didn't know either one of those, going, what the fuck is wrong with me? And getting so like shitty on myself because I did something that was odd to all these other people. And I, of course, said, well, clearly I'm unlikable.
Socially inappropriate.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was very socially inappropriate. Like the jokes that we made.
That's the thing.
I used to get shit on for.
And and that's the thing. Like it's a balance and definitely something you have to work on because sometimes I do stuff and I'm like, fuck it. Right. Yeah. But I don't know. It's okay to reflect later too, like to do something and then like sit back and reflect like 2 hours later. probably not in the moment that you're really stressing and already struggling. And then you're like, oh my God, it's my autism. I'm doing a terrible job. Like, I'm never going to be good at this. I fucking have a diagnosis forever. You know what I mean? And so I find like just taking it one step at a time, dealing with what's in front of me, and then maybe 2 hours later thinking about it and thinking in the future, like how to accommodate it. But
well, I mean,
I don't know, just
even that right there that you just described, that in itself shows a level of wisdom and maturity and an ability to emotionally regulate. You know what I mean? Like all three of those, but we only get that as we get older. I mean, that's how human beings work, right?
Yeah.
When we're 18.
What?
Oh, sorry, you made eye contact with me and it stopped me. When you're like 18, 19, 20 years old, you don't have any of the three of those to be able to like pause for a second and just be like, whoa, hold up. Let me not react in this moment. You did it again.
Yeah.
What's up?
Your elbow keeps hitting the table and then it's being picked up by your microphone. That's all.
Oh, you mean every time I go like this and then I put it?
Yeah. Yeah. Your mic is picking up every single time you go boom, boom, and I can hear it. So
hold on. Wait. All right, my arms are down. I bought a new chair for the show. Not only did I get a new mic that he shit on, I got a new chair.
Too many new things.
Yet to hear it.
Yeah. But the thing that I'd like to work on myself, though, is that TikTok is a very young population for the majority. It's 20-year-olds, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I have to keep reminding myself that, like, I'm not 20 and I was diagnosed for a long period of time, like over 30 years. And to give them some, like, I don't know.
Give them some leeway
Faith.
Because they're younger.
Give them some leeway.
Yeah.
But then when I see
allow
they
them
have
to
allergic
make
account,
mistakes.
I'm like,
Well, I'm saying you need to allow like younger people need to be allowed to make mistakes because
what they do.
Not that older people don't make mistakes, but we should typically have a little more wisdom. So we usually don't make, but when you're a kid, you do dumb things, and maybe you have some dumb ideas.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
And sometimes you got to make those dumb mistakes and recover from them to learn.
Yeah.
So
people
maybe
always
you're
say
a
I
TikTok.
come off.
Yeah, go ahead, Kiki.
People always say I come off too abrasive, though. Like I try to be gentle with these young people, and I'm always like, hey, you're wrong, and like you're attacking me, and I'm like, if I'm not physically near you, how is that possible?
Right.
Like,
I
just
agree.
delete the comment and block me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think Steve saw this comment, and I didn't tell you about it, but like 2 or 3 months into starting doing this, he made a comment on somebody else's post, and the person responded with, how dare you be violent on Facebook? I just deleted it. Like I just immediately removed the damn thing because, like, for one, you cannot be violent to somebody on a social media website. Like, you can't be violent. To me, there has to be some level of physicality to be violent. And two, all he said was, I don't agree with you. You're wrong. That's what Steve said. Yeah. You're wrong.
Yeah.
Like, and
I don't think I would say that. I probably phrased it a different way.
You did. I'm actually summing up 4 sentences.
I wouldn't say to somebody, I disagree with you. You're wrong. I would probably say, well, I see kind of where you're going with that, or I understand your idea, but I don't agree with it. That's kind of what I would say.
And that's relatively what you said. And then you also tried to correct what it was they said.
I try to say it in a nicer way.
You're wrong.
But I don't try to say it in a nice way because I feel like we're wasting time with the limits, which I should probably not be that way. But immediately I'd be like, hey, maybe you shouldn't do this.
Yeah.
And then like you're pretty abrasive. You just come on here, and I'm like,
What was the context though? What the hell would I tell somebody they were wrong about? What were they actually wrong?
Oh yeah. Oh no, they were horribly off base, dude. Like horribly off base. They were shitting on people. What was it?
I know I said something about those parents who were saying that they there was somebody on an autistic Facebook page saying that there was their child was being destructive, who was autistic and destroying things.
Oh no, this is months
and
months
somebody
ago,
gave the advice that they should
well,
what was it? Something about they wanted to force the kid to stop doing the behavior.
Yeah.
But the way that they wanted to do it to
Well, it
me
was
sounded
drug 'em
like,
up, right?
They
Yeah,
wanted to
just
drug
drug
the
'em up.
kid to stop the violent behavior.
Yeah.
And I told them
Yeah.
that I thought that was borderline abusive.
Yeah.
And I said that
Yeah.
you should try to find a way to channel that behavior into something else, and hopefully,
Right.
eventually channel into something maybe productive. But like if they're destructive or there's something they want to do, why don't you find a way they can do it where they're not harming the things you don't want them to harm?
Right.
But no, the other advice was no, just pump them full of drugs so they
Yeah.
stop doing it.
Yeah.
And I was like,
oh my
Yeah.
God.
that's the greatest advice ever. Yeah, just pump your kid full of drugs.
Yeah.
So I did comment on that, and the parent said, "Are you talking to me?"
Yeah.
When I responded, I was like, "Yes, I am."
I know I've tried to stay out of there because it's not a safe place. I'm in a few of them, but like every time it's just not safe. But yeah, I went on medication as an adult to help with my aggressive behaviors, but not as I did Ritalin when I was younger.
Mhm.
It didn't do anything. I just became more aggressive. But
But they didn't sedate you as a child, did they?
no, they tried stimulants, and I was on medication to sleep because I wouldn't sleep.
Oh, well,
No.
this particular person wanted to sedate the child so they would stop breaking things,
Yes.
Yeah.
which I thought was inappropriate.
I mean,
but
one of the
it's my opinion.
medications they mentioned was ADHD drugs, but like they were also like, well, they should also be on blah 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 blah. And like, you want to pump a fucking 9-year-old?
They're talking about
with
like giving
9
them
drugs, Come on.
tranquilizers or something
Yeah,
like that.
one of them was a tranquilizer.
Yeah.
Like, here's an idea: redirect the behavior. If dude wants to destroy something, we'll give him something appropriate to destroy. Like,
I think the first
fuck?
step when it comes to those behaviors too
there's what?
is because
Steps.
I think
Steps. Okay.
steps. Like
Yes.
when you look at a behavior, let's say a child is breaking something.
Uh huh.
What are they breaking? Is it something that even needs to be intervened? Because you're
Right.
not going to be able to get intervention that's going to be long lasting when a child's heightened like that. That's not a possibility.
That's right.
So like, is it something that you can ignore, or is it something that if this item breaks, the child's going to hurt
Or to
themselves?
try to
Like, if it
understand the
breaks
cause
off,
of it.
It's going to
Yeah.
hurt. Yeah.
I would also
So-
like try to understand why they're doing it.
Yeah.
Is it
Yeah.
maybe they're doing it because maybe it's a stimulation thing. Maybe
Mhm.
there's some sort of stimuli in the environment.
Yeah.
And that's how they're dealing with it, is by destroying whatever it is in front of them.
Yeah.
So
then
there could
you
be
can
different
give them
reasons for it.
So then you introduce that when they're not heightened, like you introduce something that
Yeah.
they can wreck when they're not heightened. And then when they become heightened again, you just place the item beside them and walk away. And sooner or later, they may or may not grab the item.
Right.
So,
You're- I mean,
and then you slowly change it up.
right.
But-
You're altering the association between what you don't want to have damaged to something you're okay with being
But-
damaged, but the child
Yeah.
is still able
But they
to
could
convey the same
they
thing.
could be damaging it because they're trying to connect with you though. So
that could
if
be
you
too.
think
Yeah.
it's because they're trying to do that,
Right.
then obviously that's
I wanted
Not
to
a
point out
positive.
that I'm not a parent. And so when it comes to this stuff, like I don't have any experience with it, but I still felt the need to say something in that particular
Yes, you did.
situation.
Well,
even
that
though
was
I'm
actually
not,
one that
Yeah.
I commented with you. I mean, we were actually commenting
yeah.
together.
Well, I posted it and I said,
Yeah.
Nick, this is what I'm going to say because, and you agreed with me, but I'm
I
not a
do.
parent. So
No, but you still have
Yeah.
an opinion. I'm going to say this on our podcast, and I don't care anybody who agrees or disagrees with this shit. I don't think the only people who should be allowed to talk about parenting are parents. I think hearing
Yeah.
the outside perception from non-parents talking about how to raise kids, how to parent a kid, how parents should take care of themselves while having children, I think it's good to hear that. It might 90% of the time sound ignorant or fucking off base or naive, but I still think it's worth to hear the outside perspective of it, because we as parents get real fucking lost sometimes when we're in the moment, when we're heightened stressed, we're trying to cook and do the dishes and take care of our kid and make sure somebody getting bathed and toothbrushed and all that. We get lost in all of that sometimes and bound down by our stress. You guys actually don't have that. You have a perception of, okay, all of these things need to get done. Okay, let's organize that out. Let's do this out. I don't know. Every time I think somebody's being exclusionary to an opinion, I think we're missing some of a potential solution.
a lot of parents feel the same way that like, A lot of women don't like it when men comment on like women's issues or things that primarily affect women. And I think parents kind of feel the same way. It's like, well, you're not a parent, so like you should shut up. I'm not saying that that's a correct way to go about it, but I think that's kind of how people feel.
Oh, I
and I think like the thing is like, because this is my job, right? Like I'm a child and youth practitioner.
Yeah.
So that's part of my job.
Right.
And I was a child practitioner before I was a parent. And it is a different ball game. And so like me coming as a professional versus a parent at subject is super important because I am never going to replace that child's parent. I am not that child's parent. I don't understand the demographics. I don't understand the rules in the relationships. I don't understand the complete picture. So I'm going to approach it with the insight that I have as a professional. And just like an autistic person, you don't have kids, but you're going to approach it with the insight of an autistic person.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean you invalidate the parent's experience because it's way different than an autistic person experience, but everybody can have a opinion on how medication should be used in children. You might be told you're wrong later.
And that's okay.
But you're still allowed your opinion because your experience.
I think I have
the overall well-rounded view of it.
Right? I think I have a moral problem with it, and that's probably maybe a cop out. That's like a kind of an easy way for me to just cop out with my opinion. But I think morally, I have an issue with like if I had a child and I didn't like the way they were behaving, I think just drugging them up is morally wrong.
Oh, I thought you were saying you had a moral problem with you having an opinion about parenting.
No, I'm saying me drugging, like the whole drugging up your kid because they're doing X, Y, or Z. If you're giving a child a medication to alleviate some type of problem that the child's having, but like if that child's being destructive, and they don't have a problem with the destructive behavior, you're the one who has a problem with the behavior,
right?
But you're deciding to make it easier for me, I'm going to drug my kid up to the point where they stop doing whatever they're doing. That's what I have a problem with.
So do I, because that's the answer. Like, that's the reason why they're doing it. It's not actually to better the child in any way, shape, or form. It's literally to make the child or the human being easier to handle. It's kind of like in the early 1900s, late 1800s, they used to force feed alcohol to bipolars and put them in basements to shut them the fuck up. To keep them locked away and just keep them as drunks.
I wouldn't mind doing that to you. So,
and I'm not saying I would say no.
We kind of do it already anyway. I do force feed him alcohol. We just don't lock him in the basement.
Yeah, we just don't put me in the basement anymore. See, they let me near windows now. Oh,
he's like the gimp from Pulp Fiction. We have you in a bag. Just unzip it. He comes out.
God, wow. All right.
But I think with the medication thing, though, listening to both sides, because there is people who wish that they would have been put on medication when they're younger, because their life is just that hard, that their quality of life is just gone. And it's about intermediate support till we get them to a longer solution.
Yeah.
But you're not talking about stuff to like sedate the kid, like other types of medications. Specifically, what I was talking about is them like tranquilizing the kid.
Yeah, them trying to pacify the child.
Because I don't see how that's going to benefit the child. That's only benefiting the parent because they don't have to deal with the destructive behavior. Instead of addressing the behavior, you're covering it up by drugging the hell out of it.
Hey, Steve.
Yeah,
Steve. You got to let Kiki talk. She disliked it so much she walked away.
No, my dog was barking. I was so mad.
Nick's dogs are always barking.
My dogs are always barking.
It's actually really hard to be in a room with them like this for long periods of time, like closed environment.
It is.
Because his dogs are always barking.
Are you saying my feet smell?
Yes, Nick.
You are. Okay.
I was trying to make a joke that your feet stink.
Well, they probably do. Yeah. Anyway. So, Kiki, you named what your job is. Say the name of it again.
I'm a child and youth practitioner. So
I'm not going to assume what the fuck that is. What exactly is that?
I do support work. Like I get a family. I mostly work with kids, and obviously, and I like look at plans for them and how we're gonna go to approach stuff and all that. And I give bridge interventions till we can get them into proper interventions and set them up with resources and stuff. And
so
then I do consulting work like with kids who are getting assessed for autism. I don't know,
So,
I don't
so
know if
do
I
you?
tell you that. People always come after people's jobs on here. Have you
Oh,
noticed that?
yeah. Fuck everybody's opinion about
On
like what you
TikTok?
do for a living. I just want to know because I'd never heard the terminology before, so I'm trying to equate it to a possible job that I know of. And what it sounds like you do is like you implement behavior
Corporate.
plans.
I don't implement them. I more just say you're doing it wrong. Just kidding.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
but I work with like behavioral specialists and stuff. They
Yeah.
would more implement the plan. My
Okay.
plan. And,
Plus the
and
elbow
like,
thing didn't work out.
Oh, shit.
And I
Sorry.
just,
Okay. It's a
like-
fucking habit. All right. Sorry, Kiki.
and I'm not working that much right now because I have children with high sport needs, so I'm at home with them right now.
Okay.
So right now I'm just doing a lot of consulting work at this point where I just get a file and they're like, what do you think? And I'm like, here you go. And then they send it off. So
Do you work in an office
Pretty
or work
boring.
from home?
Okay.
both.
Oh, okay. So you work from home in an
if I-
office. Nick works with kids too, but out of the back of a van. So
I mean,
Yeah,
it's way easier over the last 30 days. There was so much candy all around.
I find as someone who works in the field, I
Uh-huh.
find coming to TikTok as a professional,
Yeah.
you really have to separate the two because people will come after your job. They honestly will. Like
Oh,
I've
Someone
seen
went
so
after
many
Nick's job.
professionals.
yeah. I actually
Yeah.
2.5
Not
years
to
ago.
take it.
Well, 2.5 years ago, we are you talking about the more recent one?
no, I was talking about that guy who tried to get
Yeah,
you
yeah.
fired because of a political
So-
opinion.
Yeah. So I said
Yeah.
I said something on some political page, whatever.
Some guy was attacking me, and Nick decided to jump
and
in.
I jumped in, and the guy actually contacted my corporation that I was working for at the time, and because I said something really dumb. I think I said something like I was
We all
gonna
made
be
fun
his
of him.
dog or some shit. And like he decided to go to the degree of trying to get me fired for it, and like
Yeah.
my boss goes, okay, it's clearly something dumb you said. Like you were clearly not actually threatening this human being. That is a very clear statement of you just saying something really ridiculous. And I said, okay, cool. They were like, but you've got to be careful because optics are super important. By the way,
Yeah.
less than 6 months later, I left that fucking job because I'm not a big
Yeah.
fan of people giving a shit about like. So I will leave a job if they care more about how they look than the quality of work they do. Because I work in behavioral health too. I currently
Yeah.
work at as a substance abuse counselor, and when bosses care more about looking good and making the corporation happy, more so than taking care of the human beings, that's when I have a tendency of stepping away.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's why I
But I
left
think-
that other company.
By the way, I reported that guy to his business.
As you should.
Did you
As
really?
'cause
I
he's
only
such
did
a
it. I
dick.
did it in retaliation to him doing
he
it to
was
Nick.
Such a dick.
So
Like he was really aggressive about some of the shit he was saying, but like, dude, all he said, he just disagreed with you. Like that's not a reason to fucking call somebody an ignorant or other words that are far more colorful.
Yeah.
Like, there's no reason for that.
How dare you disagree with me on the internet?
Right?
that's-
Like
That's
the
the
fuck?
culture, and
Oh,
that's
no,
why
that's true.
I don't say anything. It's because it's
Yeah.
like, okay, I specifically, and everyone gets mad at me for this because everyone's like, "Oh, all you do is talk about autism. Is that your whole life?" I'm like, "Buddy, that's the only thing I'm willing to talk on here about."
Right.
So
Like
yeah,
yeah.
because that is the culture. Like people are reporting each other's jobs
Oh,
and
yeah.
livelihood. And I'm Canadian. I don't make any money. I have no brand deals. I don't sell merch. Like I do this all free. I have not made a penny
Yeah.
off of
No
TikTok.
brand deals. No
What happened-
merchandising involved in the Kiki
Yeah.
stuff.
What
no
happened to, like-
merchandising at all.
Yeah.
What happened to people
Yeah,
being able to
I
just like
should.
have a discussion and talk to each other without fighting? I mean, if you have a problem with somebody, you go out and you slash their tires like a man. You don't report them to their job.
You don't go after their livelihood.
You don't go after their
Guys,
livelihood. You just go out to the car, you take a ballpoint pen, and there you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one tire. Come on now. That's
You don't
that's
even
what we
need the
gotta do.
ballpoint. You don't even need to stab the tire. You just like, stick it into the.
Yeah, exactly. You don't even need to damage it. Just deflate it.
Just deflate it.
ballpoint pen, deflate
Stick
that
the pen
tire.
right into
You
the.
know, Come on,
And there's
everybody.
a problem with professionals on TikTok to an extent where they come on and assert their authority as the
Oh,
position
yeah.
in their job.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, report that. That is unethical. They are not your clients. What the you doing?
Yeah.
Like,
Don't
I don't
give
even
therapeutic
understand.
advice. Yeah.
I did
Yeah.
actually. I did listen to TikTok though about a professional. He was teaching me how to steal hamburgers. It was the Hamburglar TikTok account. He is a. I think that is completely ethical. He was
Yeah.
teaching me how to professionally
Yeah.
steal hamburgers.
Right. Right. Well, I mean, that's the
That's
person to listen
awesome.
to. He's
The
a professional
Hamburglar.
there. No, actually, to your point, Kiki, I actually completely agree. There was a woman who I will not name. I will not say the name of. Not only did she have tendency to say a lot of not very awesome stuff therapeutically, but she was also talking about
Yeah.
autism in a way that was less than complimentary, even though she was trying to be an advocate. Like, she claimed she was an advocate, but everything she was saying was very like, no, you can't. It's not going to work. It's not right for you. Just be disabled. All that, like that kind of diminishing language,
Yeah.
right? But like, she was on there saying, I am a therapist. I am trained in XYZ. And then she's also
Yeah.
talking about like what at-home cognitive therapies you can do for yourself. And like, to me, I thought that was super unethical because like therapy should be in
I'll be done in a bit.
a
buddy.
specific setting with a professional, like guided, not at home in front of a mirror. Sorry, that's my opinion.
You gotta go, buddy. I'll be out in a bit.
Hey, and Steve,
Yeah.
blur that face.
What?
Yeah. The human being, the
My
small
kid.
human being popped face in the image. We got to blur that out.
Yeah. I didn't pay him for this time. So
That sounds
I
like
don't
a
want to
Kiki
have
problem.
to pay him.
Yeah, right.
I
What?
don't
So
have
that
to
sounds
pay
like a
him
Kiki
for-
problem.
Sounds like a
I tell
Kiki
people all the
problem.
time that
All
my
right.
kids have paid.
So why don't we make it
I
an
tell
us
them-
problem? Let's
I always-
protect
So
the
I
identity of a
I
child.
can blur out things. It's just a pain in the butt. I can do it.
Well, I think it's worth it to show respect to not only Kiki but also that human being.
I don't know. You can learn how to lock a door.
Wow.
I'm kidding.
Wow. He is kidding. By the way, he will blur
I
his
know.
face. He is kidding.
Yeah.
Man. God,
I don't-
I love the deadpan
did it-
fucking shit.
By the way, we're drinking Tim Hortons today in honor of you.
No, we're not. No. We're not drinking Tim Hortons. I refuse to drink that coffee. It's as bad as McDonald's coffee. Oh, I mean,
Yeah.
another or Dunkin' Donuts for that matter. I hate most commercial coffee. I roast my own coffee for a reason. It's because I'm pretentious. Yeah, that's the reason. So anyway,
Yeah.
what time we got on the clock, Steven?
1 hour and 2 minutes.
Okay, so Kiki, I don't want to necessarily take too much of your time. I'm sorry, dude. I fucking thump. I don't want to take too much of your time. We did also schedule this for an hour with you, and I don't want to be presumptive that you have nothing to do today because I'm betting you have stuff.
I have nothing to do.
Okay, so with that being said,
I'm gonna make this awkward for you. I
As
have
you
nothing
should.
to do.
as you should, you know what's great
Are
though?
you really
If
gonna
you were
hang
having
up on me?
No, if you were having this conversation with Steve, he would actually probably just be like, I feel better, something, and get awkward. I don't. So, with that being said, we did ask for an hour and you offered us an hour of your life and we took that hour. Thank you very much for it. But we do have to kind of
Yeah.
wrap up, if you will. Because
Yeah, no problem.
so, but can we have you on another time to talk about other topics
Yeah.
other than autism, actually? Because at the very beginning, you were like, sometimes we could talk about other stuff too.
Like Canadian bacon.
Yeah.
Yes, we
Like-
can go back to shitting on Canada.
I can bring you guys some coffee, Chris. It's like coffee. It's like a chocolate bar with coffee in it.
Oh my God, really? That'd be
Coffee,
wonderful. Oh my God, I love
You guys
that.
want some?
I love anything
That's
that's
cool.
coffee flavored. I honestly do. Anything.
It's delicious.
I bet it is.
But
Yeah, so let's talk offline about how we get Nick with those, whatever they are. That'll be great. But anyway,
Send you guys some
thank you
coffee,
very much
Chris.
for coming on to the show. I really appreciate it. I'd love to have you back on another time because you do have a lot of opinions. And so I'd like to
I
get
don't know if
more
that's a
of
good
them.
thing.
No, it's always a good thing when people have opinions. I guarantee you, it's always a good thing. But
Except for Nick. You shouldn't be allowed to have an opinion
I
on
shouldn't be
anything.
allowed to talk ever.
And you shouldn't be allowed to vote either.
No, that right should be taken from me.
And
I keep
no
voting
right
for
to own a
Thanos.
gun either.
No,
Just
well,
take all of them away, actually.
Yeah, that was already taken away from me already.
Actually, you know what?
okay?
I think we should remove your First Amendment right, too. Just you shouldn't talk.
You know, it's a little off topic. So Canadians will always say, "Oh, they're going against our First Amendment right," and it's like, buddy, we don't have a First Amendment.
No, they don't. Canadians
We
have no
the
right to free speech. You know that?
Constitution.
I did not know that.
No,
Really?
We have the we have the constitutions, not the amendment. Like it's a different paper.
They have free speech, but they don't have a guaranteed protection. Like in our Constitution, we have a guaranteed right to protection. We do have some minor exceptions to it, but for the most part, you can like record, say, do whatever you want, like as long as you're not hurting somebody.
Yeah.
Why don't we listen to the Canadian about Canadian law?
I think he might know more, to be completely honest.
Yeah, he probably does. I'm betting money the second I said you were from Canada a couple of weeks ago, he probably immediately was like, "Oh, what are the fucking legal differences here?" Like he probably.
But a big legal difference is cannibalism is not illegal here.
That's right.
Oh,
so, yeah.
Of all things to bring up, that's the fucking one we're gonna.
In case you feel like munching on a Canuck. So there you go.
Yeah. You might get charged with harm to another person or in disposing a body improperly, but you will not get charged for trying to eat them.
Maple flavored Canuck. This is delicious.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my. Ugh.
Yeah.
So when you eat Tim Horton, you actually eat Tim Horton.
when you eat Tim Horton, you actually eat Tim Horton. oh my god.
The donuts are fried in human fat.
Wow. All right. So Kiki, thank you very much for being on the show. And always for anybody who's listening to the episode, if you disliked, I banged the table, leave me alone. All right. If you dislike, agree or disagree with anything you heard in the episode, if we said something offensive and you want to let us know, if you'd like to cancel me or Steve, but not Kiki, please give us some feedback.
I'm gonna have to mount the mic from the ceiling so you can't bang. I need to get something that's not on the table, like a new mic holder or something. I'm gonna put a pole through the table or hang something from the ceiling so you can't.
Let's just get
fucking bang the table all the time.
Singer's fucking thingy, and we'll just hang it right.
You can't put anything in front of Nick. He'll just whack it. So
okay, I keep touching the.
Please whack-a-mole.
With my hands.
I like to play whack-a-mole.
No, I talk with my hands. I move around a lot. Leave me the fuck alone. All right. So anyway, thank you very much, everybody, for listening to the episode. If you did make it this far into the episode and you find Steve annoying as I do when he points out this shit, please leave a comment. But if you think Steve's in the right and I'm in the wrong, also leave a comment. We're going to make that our poll.
Well, they won't hear it because I edit that shit out.
So why the fuck do you bring it up?
Because I still hear it in my ear when you bang the table.
If nobody else knows it happens, why in the fuck?
Actually, they might hear some of it, but I can remove some of it. I can remove some of it, but still, it depends on how hard you hit the table.
Since we're bringing up irritable shit, there are things you do during episodes that irritates me, but I don't ever say it.
Like making fun of you.
No, that part I'm okay with because it's fucking funny to other people, man. I got no issue as long as we're entertaining people. Anyway, we got to wrap this shit up. Thank you very much, Kiki. I'll email you soon or at least contact you on one of the things about another appearance or whatnot. Have fun. Enjoy.
Sounds good.
I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Well, thank you guys. It was super fun. Thank
awesome.
you.
Glad you had fun.
Bye.
Bye.